Most people move into Central Texas make one huge mistake. They compare square footage, floor plans, home prices, and interest rates, but they never stop to ask, what is it like to actually live here? And if there's one thing I've learned from living in just about every corner of Central Texas over the past 46 years, it's that all of these cities have their own personality and feel. So today we're going to compare Kyle, San Marcos, and New Braunfels so that you don't end up wishing you lived in a different city after you've already bought the house. Hey everyone, I'm McArthur, a local realtor who helps people buy, sell, invest, and relocate throughout Central Texas. And one of the questions I tend to get from people relocating is, Eric, where should we live? And honestly, the answer is it really depends. A lot of people have accepted the fact that getting the kind of house that they want in Austin is still a little bit unattainable for a lot of people. You can get a whole lot more for your money outside of Austin. Obviously, there's a lot of areas to choose from, but when you go south of Austin down I-35, you've got Buda, not Buda, Kyle, San Marcos, New Braunfels, Schertz, Cibolo, a couple other small towns, and then San Antonio. And it's all kind of starting to blend in together and fill in. So there's a lot of times not even that much of a break in between all of these cities. But of those, the main cities that people tend to look into are Kyle, San Marcos, and New Braunfels. Now, while all three cities are super close and they do have some similarities, they are drastically different at the core of who they are. So today, we're going to compare them in 4 different categories: location, home prices, schools, and most importantly, lifestyle. Then I'm going to tell you who I honestly think each city is best for. Also, I'd love to hear from you. If you've lived in Kyle, San Marcos, or New Braunfels, or somewhere around the area, leave a comment and tell everyone what you love or don't love about the city. And it might be helpful for somebody else considering the area. Let's start with location, because this alone can eliminate probably one city for a lot of buyers. The obvious thing is where they sit on the map. There's only about 30 miles between these 3 cities. So obviously, looking at the map, Kyle is going to be closer for a commute to Austin, and New Braunfels is going to be closer for a commute to San Antonio. But having lived in San Marcos and New Braunfels both, even though San Marcos is right in between Austin and San Antonio, there's a really big distinctive line between San Marcos and New Braunfels as far as like identity and which big city people tend to associate with. I mean, when it comes to local TV channels, San Marcos has the Austin networks, and New Braunfels has all the San Antonio channels. Even when it comes to realtors, the majority of the realtors in San Marcos all have their license with Austin MLS. They tend to do more business that way. And then in New Braunfels, most every single one of the agents does more business, and they hang their license with San Antonio MLS. If you're someone who commutes to work, make sure you factor that in, because traffic on 35 sucks. Good news, construction on 35 is projected to be finished in 2028 and 2031, depending on the project. So yay! Bummer. Okay, now let's look at home prices. I pulled up the most recent market reports for each of these cities, pulling data from both the Austin and the San Antonio markets. I can definitely get into the weeds looking at all this stuff for hours and hours, but I'm just going to keep it simple, and we're just going to look at the sales numbers overall for each city during the month of June 2026 to give you kind of a broad picture. So you'll see Kyle has a median sales price currently at $315,000. The number of homes sold is down about 23% from last year. San Marcos, the median home price, is sitting right about $291,000. The number of homes sold is down 29% from last year. And then New Braunfels, well, it's got the highest median sales price at nearly $365,000. And the number of homes is actually up 29% from last year, which is pretty interesting to see. However, you'll also notice there's a big difference in one side of 35 and the other. The green area you see here has a median sales price of $295,000 for the month of June, while the other side of town in orange has a median sales price of 529,000. This is where I would start to get into the weeds and start honing in on different criteria, because the orange section is definitely skewed by a bunch of higher priced properties up here that are upwards of 800,000. In the green area, definitely got a bunch of crappy new construction homes down here that are made of cardboard and Elmer's glue. So factor those things in as well. It's also worth noting when you're comparing these price points for each of these towns that the property taxes in New Braunfels are quite a bit lower than the other two. So there is a savings there. Schools are always one of the biggest questions I get. I've got personal experience as a dad with schools in San Marcos and New Braunfels, but no real experience with the schools in Kyle. But from what I've heard though, Kyle, which would be a part of the Hayes ISD, is okay. Tends to be hit or miss depending on the school. San Marcos, they've always tended to be a struggle bus. Texas State is known for their education department, so there's always brand new teachers getting jobs there, but the good ones don't tend to stay very long. So a lot of families, they are starting to opt to transfer their kids to Wimberley these days instead of being in the San Marcos schools. New Braunfels has two different school districts. Both are good options, but like a lot of cities, there are some schools in New Braunfels that are better than others. I also know that from experience. Let's talk about lifestyle. What do these cities have to offer in terms of shopping, restaurants, and entertainment? Then I'm actually going to try and sum them up afterwards. Kyle, it's come a long way in just a little bit of time. You'll notice that most everything in this town is all in one spot. This is basically it right here. At this intersection of 35 and Kyle Parkway, you've got H-E-B, Target, Walmart, and Lowe's. There's actually a Academy and Hobby Lobby that popped up. Ooh, big time. And there's some basic fast food places and some small stores. On the past few years, there's actually been quite a few new restaurants that have gone in just north of that, right on the access road by a brand new Costco. So they're moving up in the world. The majority of what you'll find here in Kyle are chain restaurants. Entertainment-wise, you've got EVO, which is like a movie place, and they got games and all that kind of stuff. There's a golf course. Otherwise, people in Kyle are probably headed to Austin if they want to go do something. In my opinion, Kyle has always kind of fallen flat in this category. If you knew San Marcos from the early 2000s, you would be shocked to see it now. In the past 10 years or so, this town has had a crazy life transplant. Being in San Marcos now compared to what it was when I was in school in the early 2000s, night and day difference. A big part of that is due to how much Texas State itself has grown. In the past 10 years, enrollment has jumped up about 10,000 students, which has brought obviously more life to the city, but more restaurants and more activities. And now with Texas State being a part of the Pac-12, I assume that growth is going to be even bigger. Now, San Marcos has the typical chain restaurants like Kyle, but it's got a ton of local places. You've got Industry, Root Cellar, Blue Dahlia, Garcia's, Dos Gatos, Grins, River Pub, Gumby's, Gill's Broiler, and the list goes on and on. So for things to do, obviously you've got the river, which is a big thing there in San Marcos, but there's countless Texas State sporting events. There's putt pub, bowling, the outlet malls. For kids, you've got the children's park, which is pretty legit. And then the glass bottom boat's pretty cool. At least I remember that when I was a kid. Then there's New Braunfels. Unlike a lot of suburbs, this city has a personality all of its own. I've got another video about the pros and cons of living in New Braunfels, and I'll link it here. I don't know which side. I'll link it, which has more in-depth stuff about the kind of lifestyle you'll find in New Braunfels. You should definitely check that out. But just like San Marcos, there's a lot of local restaurants in New Braunfels. There's Muck and Fuss, Gristmill, Weesach, McAdoo's, Krause's, Bootleggers, and a whole lot more. For things to do, you've got two rivers to hang out at and float. There's Green, Schlitterbahn, countless festivals like Wurstfest, Landa Park and Panther Canyon, Top Golf, and a whole lot more. Okay, now here's my honest take of these three cities. Kyle feels newer, more suburban, more family focused. Kyle is like the guy who moved into a house but never really unpacked or decorated because he spends all of his time at his friend Austin's place. It's a great option if affordability and commuting to Austin are priorities. San Marcos feels energetic. You get a fun, down-to-earth college town atmosphere that's really on the rise and really continuing to grow more and more. San Marcos is like the guy who lives in a neighborhood without an HOA, and he just lets loose to be himself. Messy hair, don't care, and he's living his best life. New Braunfels, while growing astronomically since 2000, it still feels more established than the other two. It has history, character, community-driven. New Braunfels is the guy that definitely does live in an HOA, and he's really proud of where he lives. And if other people break those rules of the HOA, they're reporting that business. It's the more buttoned up version of San Marcos. Final thoughts, there's no wrong answer. I've helped clients buy homes in all 3 cities, and they've all loved where they've ended up. I've lived in 2 of them myself, and I actually love both of them for different reasons. To figure out which city is best for you, watching videos like this is a good start. But go hang out for a weekend or 2, drive around, interact with the people and the places. If this is something that you're thinking about, call me up. I'll show you around to some of the local places to see where you feel like you fit the vibe. I work with buyers in Kyle, San Marcos, New Braunfels, and all the surrounding areas every single week to help them through the transaction stuff, but also helping them discover what the best place for their family ultimately is. You can give me a call, text, email anytime. All my contact information is down below in the description. If this video was helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out all my other videos on living in Central Texas and about the buying and selling process. I'll see you next time.